Hello, everybody. We are back once again with a MacGuffin web exclusive, another top 5. I am Allen.
I am Brandi.
And for this top 5, we are doing romantic comedy couples.
Yes, we are. And what is your number 5?
Oh, okay. Let's jump right into it. My number 5 is the musical Swing Time, featuring the classic couple of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I mean, when you think of couples throughout all of movie history, Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire have got to be in that movie.
Yep.
Or on that list anyway.
I think they did 9 films together.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, they did. I mean, people loved it when they got together.
And Swing Time is the best.
It certainly is the best.
Yeah.
For me, you know, the chemistry was never better. The dancing was great.
It's so
the comedy
funny, too.
was good.
It is so funny.
Except for the accidental racism in that movie, it's really good.
Yeah,
I really like it.
a lot of old movies.
Although, you know, that movie, I mean, that scene really was an ode to one of his heroes, but unfortunately, you know, thinking back on it now, it's kind of racist, but it's still a good movie. You guys should check it out.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really need to elaborate too much. Every Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie is basically a case of mistaken identity and then a lot of dancing.
Yes.
And they're all super, super fun and great. So, my number 5 is Moonstruck. 1987, starring Cher, Nicolas Cage as Loretta and Ronnie, a bit of an odd couple, and I think this movie is so funny in a way that a lot of romantic comedies aren't, which is bizarre characters. Ronnie's lost his hand in an unfortunate baking accident that he blames on his brother, who happens to be Loretta's fiance, and Loretta's not too keen on her fiance, and maybe she likes Ronnie better, and so they decide to go to the opera and see what happens.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, you wouldn't think that those two would have the chemistry that they do, but it is great.
Calling them an odd couple is probably the perfect way of describing it. I mean, he's kind of like this dirty, like rugged dude, and she's like this chick
Very
from
dramatic.
This chick from the neighborhood who, you know, can spout out and
and it's completely encapsulated in the famous scene where he says, "Oh, I love you," and she slaps him and says, "Snap out of it."
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like that's everything that you need to know in that movie.
Okay, moving on. My number 4 pick is the classic by Billy Wilder called The Apartment, featuring Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. This movie...
She was so pretty when she was young.
Oh, yeah. You're telling me, yes. That movie is really... when you think about it, those two people are really, really lonely, and I mean,
it's not. I mean, it is kind of a comedy, but it is. There is some dark stuff going on in the apartment as well.
They sacrifice, you know, their well-being for like these fake promises. You know, he gives up his apartment to get a promotion that never comes. You know, she sticks around with this guy who cheats on his wife, thinking that he's going to leave her for him. I mean, talking about it's not really much of a comedy, is it?
No, but I mean, it is remembered that way because there are a lot of really funny parts. And I mean, Jack Lemmon is Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon is probably one of the funniest comedic actors I've seen.
Billy Wilder might be my favorite director of all time. And this is, I mean, that's a great movie with a really interesting central relationship.
Yes.
Okay, my number 4 is 1980s action romantic comedies. Okay. So it is Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. He is Jack Colton. She's Joan Wilder. She writes romance novels for a living, but has never really had any adventure in her own life. Some sort of crazy plot involving her sister being in trouble, and she has to band together with this, you know, sort of Crocodile Dundee almost, but like if you mix Crocodile Dundee and Indiana Jones and then made him like really arrogant, that would be Jack Colton.
We were on a roll until this one, only because I haven't seen this movie.
Really?
I've read about it.
Robert Zemeckis.
I've read about it. I've seen trailers, all that. I just never got around.
I think.
I
like,
never got around to actually
watching it. It's got Danny DeVito as like the world's most inept villain.
I've always wanted to watch the movie, but I don't know. I just never got around.
It's just one of those ones that I've seen on cable so many times that I'm just like, oh yeah, Romancing Stone.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Awesome. So we're on number 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 3 pick is the classic When Harry Met Sally, featuring
Excellent.
Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. I think if you ask pretty much anybody on the street what their favorite romantic comedy is, they're going to say When Harry Met Sally. I mean, what's there wrong with this movie, right? I mean, great dialogue, great characters. It's not one of those things where they're attracted to each other immediately through their looks or whatever. It's all about their intellect and their ideas and all that stuff. It's a relationship that spans years. I mean, I don't know what else I could say about the movie. Pretty much.
I don't know. It's one of my favorites. It was one of the first movies that I ever bought on DVD, and I've watched it many a time. It's just like perfect rainy day movie, and those characters are just people that you want to be around, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies I can watch over and over again and never get tired of. So it's a classic. I mean, everyone knows it. So
yeah, it's wonderful. All right, my number 3 is John Hughes' film, and that is 16 Candles. The romantic aspect of it is more just like propelling the emotion of Samantha Baker, Molly Ringwald, on her 16th birthday that all of her family has forgotten, and she is enamored of Jake Ryan, the campus stud. I really like the way that this movie handles this thing that you sometimes get, and especially get a lot in high school, where you're really like infatuated with someone and you don't know why, and it comes from his end as well, but they don't know, or she doesn't know at least, that he could ever be interested in her. And by the end of the film they have said like 3 words to each other, but it still totally works. And
it's a classic for everyone.
To me, it's hands down John Hughes' best film.
It definitely is one of them. I have to be honest, I haven't seen that in years, so I don't remember much of it, but I do remember liking it very much. So, moving on to number 2, it is Annie Hall, featuring Woody Allen and Diane Keaton. I think
anti-romantic comedy.
It is the anti-romantic comedy. I think this is definitely the prototype for pretty much every romantic comedy that came after 1977 or whatever year this came out. I mean, any romantic comedy or any romantic movie pretty much where you have 2 people walking down the street talking to each other is directly taken from Annie Hall. Even when Harry Met Sally is, a version of Annie Hall pretty much.
The happier version.
The happy version. Yeah, I mean, classic dialogue. I think it's very funny. It's thoughtful. These are 2 very quirky, very neurotic people, obviously.
Yeah.
Very articulate. I love the way it's edited and put together with the jumping around in time. It's a great example of what did I write here? Of an examination of how a relationship builds and ultimately falls apart. I love it. It's a classic.
Yep. One of the only movies you can classify as romantic comedy that won Best Picture.
Yes.
So, my number 2, a little bit of a stretch to call it a romantic comedy, but I just had to get it in there, is Dirty Dancing from 1987.
Okay.
Frances Baby Houseman and Johnny Castle, the late great Patrick Swayze. I really defend this movie. I mean, stay away from the romantic aspect is great. I really defend this movie a lot as being one of the most like pro-feminism movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
It is very like pro-choice, very pro the intellectual and personal growth of a female character being important. And then there's a lot of really sexy stuff too.
There's a lot of,
and there's a lot of class stuff going on with those 2 that is not the kind of thing that you usually see in something that really is, it is kind of a comedy.
I enjoyed the film. I don't know if, romantic comedy though, it's really more of a straight romance with maybe some funny parts in it.
It is. I'm cheating.
The musical montages where he's like lifting her up in the water and they're dancing on that log in the forest. Maybe a little too much for me, but
it's fun.
It's all right.
Super fun.
It's all right. For my number 1 pick, I am gonna go way back to the silent era and pick City Lights.
Excellent.
Featuring the Tramp and the Blind Flower Girl. To me, this has got to be one of the greatest. Not just romantic comedies, but just one of the great films ever made. It's so romantic.
Wonderful.
It's so sweet. It's so funny. It's unlike the last couple of picks that I chose. You don't need dialogue to tell a story.
You don't at all. I saw this once at a screening and there's like a whole family, and the little kids were like enraptured by it. You know, like it is just so wonderful. But I have to ask you, do you think that they really get together in the end? Because it's still being debated. You know,
it's
decades
open.
and decades later.
I'm kind of a hopeless romantic, so I kind of want to lean towards they do get together, but the build up to that moment is so great. I mean, this guy does everything he can to pay for this girl's eye surgery, and then when she finally gets her vision, he's so afraid of like revealing himself to her because, you know, he's actually a poor dude. And the moment they touch hands and she like looks at him, and oh man, oh god,
you're gonna cry.
I'm tearing up right now. Yeah, let's not talk about it anymore. Number one.
All right. My number one is also an old film, not quite that old. And it is one of the greatest films ever made, and that is The Philadelphia Story from 1940. The love triangle of Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant, and Jimmy Stewart is just phenomenal. I think I've mentioned this one on the podcast before and said that the first time that I saw it, I really didn't know which guy she was going to go for. And I think that is probably potentially unique amongst romantic comedies.
You've got to love a film where you have one girl being fought over by like 3 different dudes. That's
there is, because neither one of those guys is even her fiance that she's supposed to be marrying that weekend.
That's
Cary Grant
choice.
is her ex-husband. She's this, Debbie. She's a socialite who's marrying another, prominent businessman, and then Jimmy Stewart is the photographer reporter who has been sent to cover the wedding for this magazine, and of course that's not what he wants to be doing with his life. He wants to be writing short stories. So.
I mean, I don't really care much for the film, but I thought it was really funny. I thought,
are you fucking kidding me? You don't really care that much for the Philadelphia Story?
I enjoy. Holy crap, I'm about to run. Damn, I just stepped on oh Jesus. No, I really like that film. I mean, I haven't seen it since the first time I watched it. Oh Jesus, I'm so scared.
Oh my God, Alan. Like, that is just like,
this may be the last time you ever see me. So this was fun. No, I really liked it.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I like the film. I don't hate it. I don't think it's a bad film.
You just said you didn't like it.
No, I said I didn't care much for it. Like if you...
Oh my God. Oh my God.
If you have any romantic comedies that you want to share, please hit us up on the MacGuffinPodcast.com.
It's just going to be me because Alan won't be here anymore.
I'm going to go run away now. So, bye everybody.
Bye.